Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the CHALL, and today Chall Chats Donny Rovers. Finally got a chance after a couple of days to film this. Obviously we won this past weekend, so obviously I'm very happy. I thought we did quite well. There were still things we need to work on, but overall, I thought we did quite well. Um, so we're going to sort of talk about this game a little bit, talk about sort of a couple of players in particular that I really like performance wise. And just kind of, look ahead to obviously we've got the Salford game. As you're watching this, it'll be later on this afternoon. Grimsby at the weekend as well. So we'll be talking a little bit about that. Before we get started, though, guys, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, click the notification bell so you never miss a YouTube video. We are on the road to 3,000 subscribers and 500,000 views. We are a media network. We will do all kinds of coverage, especially theme parks and sports. So please do like the content on the channel, because if you're a fan of both or either, then you're going to really like the channel. Also, guys, make sure you stay tuned for more content. We've got more news updates, more everything coming on the channel this week. So stay tuned for all of them. And for now, guys, let's talk about Doncaster Rovers 2, Tranmere Rovers 1. So coming into this game, I had an understanding about how Tranmere were going to play after watching the highlights of the last few games. I think against higher teams, they don't really, that they'll sort of counter. Against pressing teams, they'll try and put long balls. They'll counter. Um, and Tranmere won't be they won't press. They won't be as quick as possession based teams like your Notts Counties and your Barrows, and pressing teams like Donny and Stockport as well. They're not going to press you. They're going to sort of counter you. They're going to let you do your thing. You make a mistake and they count you, and they counter you with pace on the wing. So it was the lineup that a mate of mine called Jack Jones, shout out to you, who told me a bit more about how Tranmere play and things like that. He sort of gave me a predicted lineup before the game, on the day before, and to be fair, it was the lineup that he predicted in the 4-4-2. So again, I was expecting something out of this game. If we just go at them from minute one, and to be fair, we did. Tranmere had their spells, but um, I think overall we did enough to get the win. Was it all plain sailing at times? No, it wasn't. I think the referee let a lot go. I thought Rob Apter was quite a problem on that side. I thought he was making himself known with his pace, with his direct running. There was times when they were getting opportunities, and we had to be at our best defensively. Tranmere's goal, I don't know how and why we easily let them cut inside. I thought that was quite, I won't say sloppy, but I'd say a bit unfortunate on their part. I thought Anderson slipping as well. I thought that was unfortunate. I think in terms of players to highlight, I think Richard Wood, again, just proved how important he was. And there was a piece in the Free Press where he was, talking about how he was looking to improve and looking to get better. Um, and for me, I think since he's come back from his injury, I think he's looked much better. I think he adds real leadership to the back line. I think that when McGrath comes back, I thought Olu had a great, half of football. I thought Olu did great. I think with Olu getting starting to look better, with McGrath obviously in there at it was in there for a couple of games, looked good. With Wood looking better now as well. With Bailey, obviously, when he's in the back line, he does very well. Obviously, he was in midfield, but again, he was class anyway, because Owen Bailey just seems. Owen Bailey, like I told you at the start of the season, is a real hybrid player. He will play amazing, whenever. So, it doesn't matter if you put him in the defensive midfield or centre back, Bailey just performs. Apart from the one game, I think Bailey's just been arguably probably the consistent player of the season so far. So for me, I think Bailey did great. I thought Olu did great. I thought, when McGrath comes back, I'm sure that defense will just ramp up even more. And you know what? That's maybe one things we've got on our side in terms of our place in the relegation battle is with players coming back. I think we may start to look stronger and stronger. This is where we're going to falter though. It's about getting a run together now, and I'm sure Grant's wanted it all season. He wants a run of games. It's going to be more than just two wins. You know, he wants two, three, four, five, six. He wants to put a strong run together for the end of the season, and a great run together for the end of the season to sort of be in a position where we can look at that run of games in the last 15, 20 games of the season, etc., and say, look, we won the majority. We can look back at the end of the season hopefully and go, we've won the majority of these. We had a great run to the end of the season. Use this as a platform to build on, bring in back, trying to look, tell clubs, show clubs, that have got players that are out of contract that are great players for this level and possibly for the level above as well. You know, to the players that we want, show them the run and show them the way we play and show them what we could be doing and show what we can do and say, this is what we could do at the end of the season. Imagine what we can do with a full 46 with an improved quality of squad. So that will hopefully attract a certain quality of player in the summer. So, I'm not really, people, I know there's a few Rovers fans on social media that was like, we're only 15 points off the playoffs. This could be our late run. I know for a fact the majority of them were taking the mick. Um, yeah, it's, the best we can hope for is mid-table this season. And, if we can try and finish above 18th, then it's still better than last season, despite where we were in the table. I think the main thing that's going to tell here is the run of games coming up. We've obviously got Salford, we've got Grimsby, we've got a few more mid-table teams and relegation 6-pointers. Got Forest Green at the end of March. We've got Colchester coming up. We've got the likes of Swindon still to come away from home. Walsall, home and away, by the way. And Walsall aren't in the best run of form right now. So mid-table teams and 6-pointers dominate the next 15 games or amongst the next 12 to 15 games, except for Crewe. And I guess you could include Wrexham at the start of April as well. As your kind of playoff promotion face-offs. So they're probably the most unlikely teams to get points out of. But the mid-tables, the 6-pointers, they're the guys we want to be getting points off. The teams that are in form currently, teams like Salford, who we have later this evening, they're going to be big, big games because teams like Salford, who are in form at the moment, are going to be harder to get points out of than the likes of Grimsby, for example, who it seems like a sort of turn for the worse for Grimsby. So for me, I want to see us get the points at Salford tonight. I want to see us get the points of the weekend against Grimsby. Um, I want it to go well for us. I really, really do. And, take advantage of the game in hand as well with Walsall. So we've got to get these points. We've got to get a run together to try and lift us further and further away from Sutton and Forest Green. Has the gap got better? Yes. Am I going to sit here now after one win, one game, and say we are officially out of trouble? No, I'm not. And the reason why I'm not is because you just never know what's going to happen. We could get a couple more injuries. We know Ben Close out for the rest of the season now. Westbrook's back around February, March, 3, 4 weeks, I think it is. A couple of other players could be back in a couple of weeks. So, we've got no fresh injury concerns as far as I'm aware going into tonight's game against Salford. So at the end of the day, it's looking good. It's looking better. But you just never know what's going to happen in 2 weeks' time. We could end up with 3, 4, 5 injuries in 2 weeks' time or in the next 2 weeks. So you can never predict what's going to happen next, especially with a club like ours. So um, if we can just put a run together, that'll open that gap and we will look a lot more safer. I think tactically, the way we dealt with Tranmere, I think with Grant McCann and Cliff Byrne being former players at Scunthorpe under Nigel Atkins, I think they had an understanding of how he was going to play and understanding about how he was going to operate his system. And we nullified that for long periods. Don't forget, like I said, there were periods where Tranmere were coming at us with a couple of chances. Lototala had to make a couple of good saves. I thought, again, Lototala has been one of the most passionate signings we've made in recent years, 110%. And, I'm not going to go crazy here and say we should sign him on a permanent, but what I will say is he has a year left on his contract at Hull City. And if Hull City don't see a pathway for him in the first team with a year left in his contract, and we don't break the rules between now and January next year and get that 2-window embargo put on us as part of that penalty from earlier in the season, why can't we go and sign him? You know, if the summer budget is better than it was in January, then let's, pay the minimal fee and let's get Lewis Tyler in permanently. Nothing against Lewis Jones. I'm one of the Doncaster Rovers fans who actually likes Lewis Jones. You know, he's made some good saves. I would consider, and you know what, people made a fantastic point about Lewis Jones. And, before you all, flood the comments and say Jones is this, that, the other, just let me cook for a sec. Well, not let me cook for a second, but let's just hear me out for a second. I see loads of comments about Jones not coming off his line. That's because part of it makes me think that Jones isn't the sweeper keeper type of profile of player. I think that Jones is a more traditional goalkeeper. He makes good shots. He's a good shot stopper. He's an efficient shot stopper. Yes, he has made mistakes in the past. However, he is still an efficient shot stopper. Doesn't come off his line as much as Lottatala. I think he's more of a traditional keeper that stays on his line, stays in his area. Lottatala is a sweeper keeper. The more I see McCann's system over the season, the more I think a sweeper keeper is kind of what we need. Jones is a more traditional keeper that stays on his line, stays in his area, and makes good saves and tries to stay on his toes. Lottatala is, I would say, a bit more commanding than Lewis Jones, but that's, in my opinion, because he's more of a sweeper keeper. He will come off his line. He is more commanding of his area, but I think that's because he's a sweeper keeper and less of a traditional goalkeeper. So if a sweeper keeper is what McCann needs, and Lawler's not 100% fit for the season, and I hate what's happening with Ian Lawler at the minute, because I think if we saw more of him, I think he'd be just as good as Jones. But for me, I think Lottatala should be considered on a permanent deal, because if Lawler's not 100% fit over pre-season in the summer, that could be a problem. If Jones gets injured during pre-season or doesn't end up featuring half the time, that could be a problem. And I don't think Ben Bottomley's ready to be in the first team yet. I think he needs another loan out for the rest of this season and maybe next season as well, just to see where it happens. I mean, he's out of contract in the summer, so it may be a case that Rovers turn around to him and say, we might sign Lottatala on a permanent. We've got Jones, got Lawler. We don't see a pathway for the first team. We're going to let you go. And, I do hope if Ben Bottomley doesn't sign a new contract, I really hope he goes somewhere. I really, really do. So I'd like to see Lottatala on a permanent. Same with Adelakun. I think that should be considered an option, depending on what happens between now and the rest of the season. I'm not going to judge it on one game with Adelakun. I think we need to see more of him and see what happens. And of course, it all depends on what Lincoln's situation is as well. This is again with the parent club. If Lincoln see a spot open for the first team or plays way to a contract with another team, if Adelakun doesn't want to stay, post this season, then they have the opportunity to move him on. If the opportunity is there to make it permanent in the summer for a minimal fee or take over the contract, then if he is as good as he was on Saturday between now and the rest of the season, we should look at that. Same with Billy Waters. You left at Wrexham. I don't think he goes back to Wrexham, in my opinion. I think he goes in the summer anyway. If Waters likes it here and wants to stay long time, then we should be looking over at looking potentially, if he's good between now and the rest of the season, to take over that contract. And this is where smart football recruitment comes in, and it's something that I think with McCann's new process can come with time. So on the result itself, loved it. Great to get the win. It wasn't pretty football at times, but to be honest with you, against a counter inside that push long balls, sit back, look to play the long balls over the top, down the side, use the channels with Apter and Morris, and the two strikers, Jolly and Jennings. But to be fair, Jolly didn't really look into it as much. I thought Jennings had a better game than Jolly for me, from the Tranmere point of view. Hendry, again, had his moments, definitely. But I don't know. For me, I feel like Tranmere weren't 100% on it. Yes, it's going to take some. I think sometimes it'll work better than others, but I think we knew what Tranmere were going to do, and we utilised our press from minute one and just went at them. So, and there were times where we had to be patient, but there were times we went for them. And, for me, I thought we had a good win in the end. So results-wise, good 3 points. Am I going to get ahead of ourselves and say we're safe yet? No, I'm not, because in the next 2 weeks, we could be dragged right back into it. So let's see what we do tonight against Salford. Let's see what we do on the weekend against Grimsby and go from there. That's my stance on it. I'm taking it one game at a time because I don't want to get ahead of myself. But it's still a good win. it's still a good win. And it's a step in the right direction. It might be a small step because we're still only 10 points clear, but it's a step in the right direction, 110%. Now let's see what happens on tonight. Sutton and Forest Green lose again, potentially. We go and win again against Salford. That's 13 points. Then it becomes 16 if the same happens and we beat Grimsby. And it starts to get better and better from there. Do I feel a lot more confident about our situation? I was a lot more confident than I was 2 weeks ago, put it that way. So, but I'm not going to judge it straight away. I'm not going to say, yep, we're safe. That's it. Done. Relegation trouble. Over. I'm not going to say that because in 2 weeks' time, we could be dragged back into it. It's all about consistency now. And that's the one thing we need to work on, along with certain other things, tactically and set piece wise, for the season. So let's just go from there. But thank you very much, guys, for watching this video. Make sure you do like, comment, subscribe. And for now, I'm the CHALL. Stay tuned for the Salford review tonight. Ta-ra.